Hi guys, I'm fully aware that the lighting situation is awful, but I wanted to talk about a subject that is really important, I believe, and as a survivor of depression, I think it is important that I share this, and I think it could help potentially lots of people. And what I want to share is different ways or advice for people who have just gone through depression and coping mechanisms that helped me throughout like my depression and things that maybe you shouldn't do if you want to like recover from depression well, and things that I recommend. So without further ado, I'm going to start telling you what to do and what not to do. So the first thing I'm going to say is you should tell what happened to at least like the people that you choose. Like, I chose to tell it to my best friends, but you don't have to feel like you owe it to anyone to explain what happened to you. In my case, I was hospitalized, so like I felt like it was a huge deal and I needed to tell everyone. But really, it's not really necessary to tell everyone. You can tell whoever you want, uh, and they don't really expect you to explain it, and they probably won't even notice a difference within you. Like you normally, when you are out of depression, you feel a bit, you know, self-conscious, and that's the second point I wanted to talk to you about. Try hard not to feel self-conscious because you just have to be yourself, and it is a hard time, and you're not gonna feel like talking a lot or like making jokes. So just don't force it. Try to be yourself, and they probably are not even going to notice, like your friends or the people around you. They're, unless you were like a very bubbly person, like, and now you're all quiet, um, they're probably not going to notice. And you're always, at least in my case, I was always paying a lot of attention to the way I acted and the way people reacted to me. And I was just overthinking it because, after all, everyone's focused on their own shit, on what they're doing, and they don't really notice the little things that we get caught on about when we're in depression. So just try to be you, be natural, don't force stuff, don't hang out with people you don't feel like hanging out. Just maybe that's the third piece of advice I have for you, which is stick to your original gang, which means like just stick to the people that you know the most, the people who you feel most comfortable around. Don't try and like go out like in huge parties if you don't feel like it. If you do feel like it, that's great. That means you're like one step further than I was. So like in the beginning, at least, if you're not feeling like being in huge crowds, just don't force yourself to be in huge crowds. Just because you're back from like a mental health hospital, or just because you're back and you're doing better, it doesn't mean that you have to like go the extra mile and like go to a party that you don't feel like going to. So I suggest that you stay with close friends and family. Don't force yourself to visit that relative that's going to make comments about your mental health or say things that are not appropriate. You don't have to, like, you really don't owe anything to anyone. And in your state, you're recovering, so it's understandable that you don't want to hang out with everyone. So just choose very wisely who you want to spend your time with. Um, the next thing that I suggest is, and that is of course when you've already like overcome the main big issue with depression. Because, for example, okay, I'm just gonna just say what a piece of advice is. So the piece of advice is do more of what you love. So of course, in the early stages of my depression, I had so much anxiety and I could not sleep well at all. So I could not enjoy anything. So that's, of course, I'm talking about a phase when you have already, overcome a little bit some of the issues, so you can actually start to enjoy things. When you start to enjoy things, by all means, just do what you love. So in my case, that involved a lot of watching Game of Thrones, which had not ended yet. So it was not, I had not seen the catastrophe that it ended up with. Um, so yeah, I watched a lot of Game of Thrones. I went to the beach a lot with, again, like the company that I chose, and like a safe environment where I didn't feel threatened, or I didn't feel like I had to fake being someone that I'm not, or being in a mood that I wasn't in. So yeah. And then another thing is, I think, well, that doesn't go with any of the points that I made, but just like I remember feeling like a burden to my friends. I remember feeling like they were just like hanging out with me, and it was like they didn't really want to. I felt like, they kind of felt sorry for me, and I felt like I wasn't good enough a company. But you don't have to beat yourself up over that. Like, they don't care. Like, if they're your friends, they're your family, they probably don't give a shit that you're not talking that much. They just love you for who you are. They know what you're going through, and they're not gonna judge you for that. They're not gonna, be mean. So just be you. Don't obsess over how you're behaving. That's like about the not being self-conscious kind of thing. So yeah. And then another thing I wanted to bring up is, do not obsess about when your depression is going to end, or when you're going to have to stop taking medication, or when you're going to be better, or when you're going to be able to do whatever. Because, I don't know what you're going through, of course. Maybe your depression is shorter, but, in general, it can be a very long process. And obsessing over what time it's going to end makes no sense. It's just like being high or drunk and like starting to get paranoid, like when am I gonna get better? Like that just makes you more anxious and more stressed out. So just focus in the moment, don't think ahead, try and like enjoy yourself as much as you can in this shit time, because it is a shit time being depressed. But things are gonna get better. Yeah, I mean, it's best if you don't even think about that, as hard as it can be, because I know it's hard. Because I know, especially me, I'm like a very straight person. Like, I'm always one to have a plan. But when you have depression, you can't plan stuff. You can't really. You don't know how you're gonna feel tomorrow. You don't know if you're gonna get better. So yeah, I suggest not to think about it that much. And for me, the moment I stopped thinking about when depression was going to end was when I was hit with very good news that I was accepted in a university and I could do like a master's program, which, like, it helped me focus on other stuff. And in the end, my depression is almost over, and now I'm fine. So just don't obsess over it. Don't give yourself deadlines like, next week I'm gonna be fine. Next week I'm gonna be able to do this. Next week, just try and just be chill about it. I'm not a chill person at all, but I try to stay chill. In the beginning, I didn't, and it was bad. So in the end, I managed to, not think about it so much and try and, just live life, whatever. And the last thing I want to talk about is, of course, a very touchy subject. But if you're depressed and if you've gone to a psychiatrist and they've prescribed you meds to get better, do not worry about taking them. Meds, as much as people try and say that meds are not good for you, meds saved my life. And they've saved many people's lives. And they will continue to save people's lives. And don't feel ashamed for taking meds. Everyone takes medicine at some point of their lives. And just because your medicine goes to the brain and not to your liver or not to your heart, it doesn't make it any less valid. So, yeah, my father takes, I don't know what it is, but like for his heart, he takes medicine. Well, I take my medicine for my brain because sometimes it's silly. So, yeah, just don't be ashamed of taking meds. Of course, you don't have to tell everyone because some people will not react well. You should not that you should care. You should like if fucking ignore them if they tell you not to take your meds, which happened to me before. But yeah, just tell the people you feel comfortable telling. You can always make up a stupid lie, like a white lie, saying, "Oh, I just like I have a headache," or just say, "Oh, I take this like it's a vitamin." Whatever, you just lie if you don't want to deal with like people judging you, which they shouldn't be, but people are silly sometimes. But yeah, and just keep taking your meds. That's like a very important thing. You can't just stop taking medication mid-treatment because it can get bad. Like, if you want to stop taking meds, you should always talk to your doctor, to your psychiatrist, and let them know for whatever reason I don't want to keep this treatment. And they will advise you. They will tell you how you can lower your dose and how many pills you should be taking. But for me, in my case, I had depression like over a year ago, and I'm still taking the same amount of meds, and it's all right. I'm okay. I'm happy. I'm fine. I don't feel like I'm on drugs. And yeah, that's my experience. And that's all the advice I have for you guys. Oh, it started to rain really bad. Wait. Oops, I got a button here. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to tell you guys. My little pieces of advice. If anything else comes up and I think I should make a part two of this video, I will do it. And but feel free to let me know if you think that was helpful. If you have any questions or anything, I can always make another video or just an Instagram story, which is my preferred format. But for this like longer things, I think like a video is more appropriate. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you could learn something from it, and I'll see you next time.